something I have never grown out of, and hopefully never will grow out of, is my love of animation. I love animated films, even with, CGI progression where it looks less animated and more realistic. I'm still always going to watch them and hopefully love them. And unlike a lot of genres, with animation, I am willing to give literally every film a chance. And Netflix has some pretty good films for doing that, one of which is 100% Wolf. Now, I should point out, I don't like wolves as characters. I'm not kind of that bothered. This is obviously aimed at younger children, but built off of the back of the success of werewolf films and werewolves as prominent characters. This is a little bit different, but there wasn't anything about this that drew me to it, which is the point I'm trying to make very poorly. But I gave it a go anyway, and I really enjoyed it. It's got a weird balance to it in terms of being slightly contemporary. For example, there's a character who is obsessed with her smartphone, but at the same time feeling quite timeless, and it could take place, anytime, anywhere. And I feel like if they'd removed that element of the smartphone and just little things that suggest a bit of time to it, it would have been much better. But ultimately, really enjoyed it. This was released last year in 2020, directed by Stadermann and written by Fin Edquist. And this is about a young boy called Freddy Lupin, fantastic surname, and he is the next in line to take over this pack of werewolves when he grows up. But when it's his chance to step forward, under quite tragic circumstances, I have to say, it's got a very kind of Lion King depression element to it, near the big, kind of early doors. And I welled up much sooner than I expected to. But then the narrative quickly progresses, and Freddy Lupin is ready to step up and become this head werewolf. And, he is a boy, they look human, they transform into these werewolves. And unfortunately, he becomes a poodle, instantly making him the laughingstock of the rest of the pack, one of whom doesn't want him to be in charge anyway. And it's all about him trying to find out what's happened, what's wrong. Part of it involves a ring that went missing on a pretty tragic night in his life from his past. But in order to find this ring and to discover what happened and fix this problem, he has to team up with dogs. And the wolves don't like the dogs. The wolves are not friends with the dogs. But Freddy Lupin decides that it's time to put their differences aside and work together. And ultimately, it's a lovely story of self-discovery and being proud of who you are. And just because you're different, it doesn't mean you're weak. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. There was a bit kind of maybe just before the end, where I felt like it slowed down a bit and the pacing kind of dropped and it wasn't quite as exciting. But ultimately, in the last kind of 10-15 minutes, it picked back up and ended on a really positive note, by which I mean an enjoyable note. I'm not going to say how it concluded, but it left me feeling like I'd watched a satisfying film. If you like animation and you're looking for something that's a bit different, I definitely recommend 100% Wolf. It's something that I found really quite enjoyable. As I said, it's one of those films that I watched because I love animation, and if there's an animated film that I haven't seen, I will give it a go. And that's absolutely the case here. I can't really fault it.